Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations with champions for champions. I'm your host, Emily Love.
And I'm Carlette Patterson, your head sports life coach. And the desired outcome of our real conversations for champions with champions is to share our passion for sports life coaching. We want to get you coached, and our purpose for training you for a life that you love is we want to connect you to what matters to you in your life and the power of being a champion in your own life. A champion life is a 10 life.
Hi team, I am so honored today to introduce you to JoAnne Ferguson. She's actually one of our very own now. She recently graduated from the Sports Life Coaching certification, so she is officially on the team. But outside of that, she also has many hats that she's wearing, an incredible individual. I actually had the honor of getting to listen to JoAnne's story when I was in my Sports Life Coaching certification, and it was definitely a 10 moment for me because I got to see you, JoAnne, really using the things that you've been coached up to do in real life. And so for a student, sometimes that can be like one of the greatest gifts of all. So Team JoAnne, she has been a college coach for 23 years. That's pretty amazing. Not only that, but she's a mom and she's a partner and many other hats that she's wearing in her life. So JoAnne, welcome to 10 Talks. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. It's such an honor to be here and share my story and my experience in sports life coaching.
Team, I want to start off with one of our favorite tools that we have. It's called competitive greatness. And we anchor that tool in Coach John Wooden's definition of competitive greatness, which is being your best when your best is needed. So I love this tool because, JoAnne, it's going to give us a quick and fast glimpse of who you are, what matters to you, and how you've been able to achieve success or significance or service in your life. So what do you have for me, one of your top 5 all-time competitive greatness moments?
Yeah, so I think last year, and I will start with a personal moment. I was turning 44 last year, and I've had kind of like a love-like-dislike relationship with jogging for myself. And so I've run a couple of half marathons when I was younger and decided to go ahead and go for it and train for a half marathon, not knowing how it would go, but I went ahead and did that, trained really hard for it. My goal was to just finish the half marathon. And I did, and I finished in a time under what I thought I was going to do. So for me, it's just, being the best when it counts was really, working hard, grinding out all last fall to train for that. And just the feeling of accomplishment and the feeling of joy to be able to complete it in a time under what I wanted to do, have that medal, have my partner and my son, watch me cross the finish line was just really, really cool.
That gives me goosebumps. So and I love that you add in your age for us, but you're like, it's just a number, right? Like it's even, I think it's even better when we surprise ourselves. It almost sounded like you kind of surprised yourself in that moment.
Right. Totally. The first one I ran, I was 29 years old. So I wanted to see if I could do it again.
Yes. And you did it. That is the perfect way to use the tool competitive greatness. What about in your professional life? Do you have one you want to share with us in that dimension?
Sure. I would say last season, my team, we came up with a winning strategy that worked for us was to have this focused fun all season long. So we even had a fun box, which was hilarious. I would go to the party store and find really hilarious hats and fun glasses for the team to wear. And they loved it, and it helped just create fun on game day. So a moment that I can think of is in the conference championship in the tournament, we were playing an extra inning game. Obviously it was very tense in that moment in the extra innings. And I just remember one of my athletes had these crazy sunglasses on. Everybody in the dugout had sunglasses, hats on, all this crazy stuff. And this athlete was climbing the fence and cheering looking
Oh,
at the fans and just kind of like getting them riled up. And
oh my
just
goodness.
so for me, that was like a team competitive
Mm,
greatness moment, because it was all about being in the moment, being in the joy of the game. We did win that game, but it was more about just kind of like looking at everybody was all in, everybody was
mm.
all in together in that moment.
That oh my goodness, and that has to make winning even that much more meaningful, right? When it's not all about just like the win or the loss, but you've actually trained your team, JoAnne, through your coaching to engage and enjoy in the moment of competing, which talk about competitive greatness.
Right. It was a really fun season. I mean, I
Mm,
owe a lot of that to my work with Carlette last January, and really, she was a huge part of just helping to transform my coaching. Because
mm,
it's a lot of years of coaching in terms of walking around
mhm,
every day with almost like having a protective armor on the field.
mhm,
And my work with Carlette was just really transformational in terms of just
mm.
allowing me to take off that armor and to be authentic, to like really open my heart back up to the athletes, and allowed me to allow that joy to flow through me. And then it was okay, they then saw it was okay for the joy of the game to also flow through them. So it was really transformational.
That's exceptional. So this like segue perfect into where I want to head with our conversation, JoAnne. So I know that you've been coached by Carlette and then you actually just recently graduated. So huge congrats to you. That
Yes,
is a
thank
very big,
you.
yes, it's a very big
Yeah.
deal. So talk to us about, your journey from being coached to desiring to get the sports life coaching certification and what you've learned in those three dimensions of your life because of it, personally, professionally, and philanthropically.
Sure. I think when I originally signed up to take the class, my desired outcome for the class was to learn some tools that I can take back to my team, perhaps teach a life skills class at the college. I had no idea the impact the class and the tools would have on my life, right? You just kind of sign up for a class about how can I be a better
Mm-hmm.
coach? How can I be
Mm-hmm.
a better teacher? How can I give back to the college? How can I help the students, which of course I will do from what I've learned. But most importantly, I think what I've learned is to really be intentional about how I invest my time, and to be intentional in all three dimensions every day. And I think
Mm-hmm.
before the class, I was just waking up every day trying to go through my to-do list, checking things off. And what I've learned is really to be intentional with how I show up in my personal life, how I show up in my professional life. I think I always had a longing for giving back, and making the world a better place in some way, but kind of not really knowing how to do that. So the class really helped me with that. And then I would also say just a better and higher level of listening. So I'm a talker by nature, so I like to
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot, but I
Mm-hmm.
really learned how to listen better to people, and how to listen with an open heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's been huge in my personal life, also in my professional life, to really listen to what people are saying, to not always be thinking about my response, to authentically listen and listen with an open heart.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And you sort of spoke on it a little bit in terms of what you're doing with your team because of the sports life coaching
Hmm.
tools. But how else would you say you are committed to using what you've learned in every dimension of your life?
Sure. I love the stat tool in terms of statting up my days, and so I've introduced that to my team a little bit. We're doing a quick stat at the end of practice every day, how the practice went for the student athletes, and then if they're not in the 8, 9s, and 10s, what's their action to change heading into the next practice. So I've started that with the team. Um, I also just love how breaking up breaking up my days intentionally into those 60 to 90-minute chunks of just like
Mm.
that tight
Mm-hmm.
tight bubble of focus, and really like pushing hard, working hard in that time. And I absolutely love the idea of inserting joy breaks And so I've been really trying to do that in my day, like pushing hard, tight
Mhm.
bubble of focus, inserting joy throughout my day. And with the new thinking of cardio just being cardio, right? I think I used to like
Mhm.
try to put too much of a value on everything, like even the house
Mhm.
chores or like doing dishes. Why does
Mhm.
it have to be a 10? Like just do your dishes. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like
Mhm.
do the
Yes,
laundry. And I
totally.
used
Right.
to I,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
just try to make everything a
Mhm.
10, which is hard. Sometimes things are just cardio, and that's been really, really helpful in how I spend my time every day, how I invest my time. And if I value something in the eights, nines, and tens, then I also know I have to show up a 10. And that's been really transformational for me.
That's excellent. I love you bringing up the joy breaks. I feel like, what sports life coaching does when you talk about it, which is why I'm so excited we get to do that with you today and just bringing it into your team and your family and our world. People are like, wow, wait, what'd you say? So, we're so used to just the grind of the day and like you just
Hmm.
moving on to the next things. How many things can you get done and how successful are you? But even just listening to you talk about that, JoAnne, it's like, it makes me excited to think about how when we use these tools, we can be hope to the world because it is kind of a counterintuitive way to structure your day. So that leads us to the next question, one of our favorites in terms of our program and really what we're desiring to do. We just launched the Life Training Academy, and you can find that online at lifetrainingacademy.com. We really want to give hope to the whole world. And when I first met Carlette and she gave us this definition of give hope, I've just never forgotten. It's get involved, volunteer, educate, help other people excel. So JoAnne, talk to us about Give Hope. Who has given you hope, and how do you like to give hope to the world?
Sure. I would say, well, Carlette absolutely is the first person that comes to mind. I mean,
Mm,
she was my work with her was really transformational. The work in the sports life coaching class, just how she shows up every single day. She's such a role model. And so she has just been absolutely transformational in terms of giving me hope, knowing that I can coach authentically within who I am and be my best self every day, and that I don't have to change who I am in my coaching. And then I
mm,
would say just, growing up, my dad just gave me, a ton of hope. And so I think about living every day, honoring his legacy in terms of being kind. He's probably the kindest person that I've
mm,
ever met, and just
yes.
living every day with really just kindness and compassion, and giving that back to people, and honoring his legacy through my actions and my words and how I show up every day.
That's beautiful. And I can tell that you carry that with you because even just your voice, there really is a kindness to it. So that's so, so sweet and so even more special probably for you that a piece of that is your dad. That's a pretty incredible way to give hope.
Absolutely. And then in terms of who I'd like to continue to give that to, I think just, women coaches in general, women, moms who coach, it is a grind in terms of, your full-time job of coaching, and then our full-time job of our children, and trying to balance all of that and juggling everything. And just, we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves in terms of being perfect in everything that we do, everything with your children and everything with work, and just trying to give hope and give back and help support women who coach. And then also I would say, student athletes, uh, giving back so that they have a really joyful college experience too. It doesn't have to be college sports, doesn't have to be this miserable
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
It can really provide joy back into their lives.
Mm. And isn't it so cool, JoAnne, that when Carlette introduced this to us, that she turns giving into a really simple exchange.
Hmm.
And a lot of times people can, you think philanthropy is money or
Hmm.
like I'm just not rich enough to give back or whatever. But I love how she's boiled it down to a place where number one, it's on our radar. But number two, it can be just as simple as, like you said, giving hope is, helping people to enjoy their experience. And that can even just be a hug, making, that fun box or
Yeah,
whatever you have. That's a way that you're giving hope to your team, and that is going to make a lasting impact on their lives, JoAnne. I mean, my college coach, she made a huge impact on my life, and I know how cool for you to be leaving a legacy. Number one, wrapped up in that give hope from your dad of you're just going to be kind, but also helping these athletes go, wow, when things really mattered and JoAnne really needed us to win, look at how she went about it. And it was more about the relationships and the moments and the opportunities that we're getting and less about the actual, score, like who comes out on top. I think, JoAnne, you are giving hope in a million ways. So we're just going to say props to you for that because it's really powerful. And I think we can all just take one step towards giving hope today based on what we've heard from you.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that I've learned in terms of giving hope is the joy that you get and that we get from giving hope to other people, right? We historically, like I would always think it's money that I have to donate to a certain organization or, what do I have to do? But really just for me being kind, offering a smile, offering time to sit down to a friend who might need something, now my new thinking is, okay, I'm giving back, I'm serving, I'm giving hope. And I've noticed how much joy I get from that, right? It's like
that's right.
it comes back to us and it circles back to us. So I'm just
so
super
good,
grateful for my time in the sports life coaching class. And I miss it. It's kind of like we graduate and then it's like, oh, I miss the class and I miss the weekly calls and time. And I'm just, every day just so grateful that I took a chance on the class, and I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity and the experience.
Yes. So the last question I have for you, and I love this. Again, we use this tool, 10 moments. It's a part of our STAT system. So when we really think about statting up our lives and our days and how every choice matters, if we can figure out what our 10s are, then that becomes really the basis for living in that 8, 9, and 10 zone. And so, JoAnne, give us one of your favorite 10 moments in terms of the sports life coaching CERT class that you had.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the class itself was a 10. So if I think about, the past 3.5 months, looking back in my life, that mini chapter has been a 10 for me in my life. Just the team, the amazing group of women, all committed to learning, all committed to growing without any judgment and just being there to support each other. Those kind of like that weekly joy call, it felt like, and having that circle of support around me has been great. And then in terms of an actual moment, I would say graduation day, really, kind of, we worked so hard for that. I've never read as many books as I've read, but I love that pace, and I'm continuing to try to just digest information and just continue to be a lifelong learner. I've learned that from the class. But, I would say that graduation day, the feeling of accomplishment that we all achieved and what we're now going to do with it, like how we're going to bring that into our life. In terms of naming that moment, I'd love to call that, my next chapter in my life, and just kind of this class being so transformational into, okay, now I've learned all this stuff. Like now what am I going to do next in terms of being my best self every day, showing up professionally, my best self, showing up with my family and my son, my best self. And then how am I going to give back daily to everybody?
That was the very perfect wrap up. I mean, team, how do you not say yes to wanting that? Thank you for sharing your heart, JoAnne, with us. Thank you for being brave and courageous to model to us what it looks like to not only have a coach, but to continue to learn so that you can be a coach for someone else. Team, we are so excited about launching another sports life coaching certification class, and you can be on that team. So if you want more information, go to lifetrainingacademy.com for more. JoAnne, thank you. And you are a 10. I'm so happy that we get to be on the same team.
Thank you, Emily. This was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget, tune in next week and head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe.
Remember, a championship life is a 10 life. You matter. Your life matters. Create a life that you love. Give hope to others and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you. The world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com.